This is Surviving Survivor.
25 years in the making. We finally have season 50. And boy, oh boy, was it a packed episode. 3 hours of content that we get to talk about. Let's dive into it. Welcome to Surviving Survivor. I am Jack Fraser, joined alongside Miss Emily McGlynn.
Hello.
And Abby Tarpey.
Hello.
And we figured let's keep it to the OG trio while we discuss this jam-packed episode that I personally think was one of the greatest premieres I've seen in a long time.
I agree with that. I agree. It was a range of emotions for me. I don't know about how you guys felt.
Yeah.
I kind of cried. I got a little teary-eyed in the beginning. I was like, "Oh my God. The show is so much older than me."
If any episode is ever going to make Emily McGlynn cry based on our draft, this would be the episode.
All right, let's simmer down. Why are you calling me out like that? Okay, actually, yeah, let's cut to the chase for just a second, okay? Of course, it would be me to get the first out after having, if you look back at the future of our drafts, having a winningest, most winning draft, I would say that, yeah. I mean, I had to be humbled at some point, and I guess this was it for me. But she played way too hard. Do I think that she was the right vote to go home? No. I don't know how you guys feel, but no. Okay. I think they should have voted for Ozzy, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I do think let's try to do this chronologically, or
sorry.
Or we will go all over the place. But because I agree with you, but if we want to start, not to just recap the full episode, but just moments that we found interesting throughout, because I loved that little introduction that they had in the beginning to make you feel so excited about the season, and then going in to that first challenge and seeing these people. I was very lukewarm on this cast when it was announced, and seeing these people in action, I was like, I'm just kidding. Why did I ever think that? I'm so in right now. Oh my God, it's Christian, Angelina. I was even happy to see Riz God again.
It felt very nostalgic. And it was cool how they kind of weaved everybody together despite, maybe age gaps or, old era versus new era. The whole thing was just super duper cool. And I loved how Jeff picked out certain people from each of the eras to kind of speak to and kind of show that there are connections between all of them despite being on at different seasons and being on, when there were idols, when there weren't idols, and all this stuff. I just thought that was really, really cool. And that some people still talk. Some people from past seasons talk, and they're all fans of each other, and so it's just it's a mutual respect for the game but also for the player, which I think is pretty cool.
I also liked that I feel like a lot of times old school players in previous returning seasons where we have had this distinction between old school, middle era, and then new Survivor will typically, especially in the beginning of season 40, got kind of cast aside where their main plot line was how old they are. Whereas I would argue that the older characters are running the first episode and they're doing well at it. It's the entertainment value of people like Coach, obviously, but Ozzy and some others were very surprising to me in a very positive way.
I completely agree with that. I think that when Jeff said in the beginning, all we're asking for is everything, these players are they're playing. And so we see people like Ozzy, who said he wants to play like Oscar this time around because he's tired of just being the provider and not working on his social game. And this time he wants to think about himself and go for advantages. He was playing, and I had so much respect for it. And I agree with what Abby just said. This was my favorite I've seen of Ozzy ever, in my opinion, of entertainment-wise. He was the star of the episode. He did have the most things happen to him. But even players like Colby, who last time we saw them, their whole edit was that Their whole storyline was that they're older and they're not as strong as they used to be. And Colby now this time around took that and ran with it. And he's like, I'll be this father figure. I'll work on building relationships. And he was playing. He was taking risks. He was out there trying to form alliances. And that's something we didn't see of him last time. And so the new era or the old era people are not afraid to try and pull a move. And if we want to go to what you were saying, we did see the OG new era player try to pull a move, but maybe it was a little too hard too soon.
I understand why they wanted to go for Suri, right? But again, you can't go for the sweetheart that early. You know, I understand like her reasoning behind it, but you just like you can't do that. Um I guess it's weird how even though we've gone 25 years, 50 seasons of this game that people still value that if you mess up in a challenge, you're done. But I guess it all just kind of depends on like what you need at the time and then they'll move forward. And I guess Jen was the better pick for for that tribe at the time. Um I do think Ozzy would have been the better one. It would have been a little bit more shocking. It would have kind of rattled people a little bit more, maybe for the best, maybe for the worst. I don't know. But I'm personally glad that Ozzy is around, despite like losing somebody off my drafts. Like this guy is diabolical. I don't know about you guys. When he was oh my gosh, when he was brought off for that second challenge or whatever with Q and Coach, and he started to swim in the water, I was like, is this an Olympian? Like, what am I looking at here? This guy's crazy.
Yeah, he has not lost his athletic touch. He may have lost his ability to correctly bring a stick and get a key, but I really liked that dynamic. We're already going back, and I think that in a weird way, it didn't feel overproduced. A lot of the storylines, like even that Aussie versus Coach South Pacific storyline, didn't feel super overproduced because Coach just went for it. They had their conversation, and then Coach was like, "I, I'll still play with honor and integrity, but I won't play with that much honor and integrity. I didn't say anything,
Right.
so I'm gonna go for it." And he went for
Right.
that key. We got the great moment with Q, kind of just like, "I'm here with these icons." And I'm gonna just enjoy my time on the edge of extinction, or not edge of extinction, in Exile Island. I loved that dynamic. I think that some of the groups that formed, some make perfect sense, like Emily, Christian, and Rick being in an alliance is so perfect, and I love that. And I love that they ran that tribe, or so far at least. I think it's interesting if we want to talk about Jenna's vote off a little bit more. That we apparently, according to Jenna and her exit interview, she wasn't the first person to bring up Sari. She was kind of just doing it because she thought that's what Christian wanted. So Christian planted the idea, and then Christian was also the one to tell Rick to go to Sari. So Christian was playing 4D chess that entire time the second he got into the beach. I wonder if if he's playing a little too hard too quickly, but he is playing for sure.
Did we see that on TV? Okay, that's what I thought because I was like, I do not remember that. I'm going
Yeah,
crazy and I don't
that's
remember.
purely based off of what Jenna said on her exit press. So it
Interesting.
couldn't it that not is not necessarily the truth.
Okay.
We haven't heard Christian's side. We can't hear Christian's side.
Right.
But I mean, we did see the three of them running that tribe. They have the dynamic there. They have the power in their hands right now. Even though Ozzy has already gotten more advantages, or the same amount of advantages that he got in all four of his other seasons combined. But he has an idol and an extra vote. We will see what happens with it. What were your thoughts on seeing Ozzy be this like advantage hog right now? I was so surprised to see it from him.
I think it's so cool. I think it's like, oh, he's worked all this time and maybe embarrassed himself along the way, that now it's kind of like all coming together for him. And I know we're kind of all over the place here, but I kind of want to fast forward even more now that we're talking about advantages and idols and things like that. Um, Celebrities are now making their way into the game, which we knew was going to happen, right? With the trailer, freaking Mr. Beast coming out of nowhere. We got our first one, which is the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, which I think this is so cool. I don't know about you guys, because now they're taking something that has happened time and time again in season 40. Jack, I need you to be our little survivor historian here. Which season it was where
46.
thank you. Where every single how many people went home with an idol in their
I think
pocket?
4. Yeah,
And that was the
Gem,
most.
Hunter, Q, and then Venus.
Exactly.
And Tiffany, 5. 5.
Yes. So I just think it's cool that like the producers kind of did a little twist on it, and then like bringing a big Survivor lover into it. I mean, for crying out loud, she sang about Survivor in one of her songs. But I just think that that's so cool. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that twist.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I do, though, feel bad for Genevieve, who was the founder of this. I think it benefits the person who's receiving the idol a bit more than it does the person who's finding the advantage. And so I do think that there's a interesting new dynamic. It's in a way similar to the amulet, where if you work together, cool, but when one of you goes, it has more power. So it's interesting because she's picking somebody who she thinks would be dumb enough to go out with an idol in their pocket. And I like that, again, with this season being a celebration of the show, that she's doing this because she remembered his last time when he had an idol and he got voted out with it in his pocket. So I'm curious to see if that will be advantageous for Genevieve or if she made the wrong decision, because as we've seen with Ozzy so far, he's not playing like he used to play. He's playing bigger and faster. So I'm curious if with that he'll be sure to use that idol before it gets him.
If you guys were in Genevieve's spot, who would you give the boomerang idol to?
Yeah, I would pick Savannah. I would give it to Savannah because I think Savannah is coming in with a level of like cockiness of like she doesn't need an idol right now and she'll want to strategize for as long as possible. But I would also know that she's already an early threat. Because I think you want somebody to hopefully go out before merge so that you can have that idol as soon as possible. So I would be thinking of people that would want to try to savor an idol for as long as possible.
I think I would go for someone who's like known to have a loyal game like coach. Because that way it's like I feel like that me telling them if they make it far enough that the idol is from me, that would give me like a warmer welcome to them rather than like a threat level where they want to get me out instead. What would you do,
Yeah.
Emily?
Oh, I was just gonna say I would just assume that like let's say that Genevieve were to go home first before like the idol is used, or if that person is sent home, then does the idol just go out into existence and someone has to go and find it? Like that's the one thing that we don't really know. So I guess we might have to wait and see to see what happens. Um, I don't know why, but I feel like if I were in her position, I would also give it to somebody that is a little bit newer. I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like there is still kind of like this old versus new era kind of feel, even though there's love and appreciation for everybody. Like, I still feel like that there's this like weirdness around like 49 and 48. And that kind of leads into another point that I want to talk to you with you guys about. I do not want to shit talk at all because I love this season so much already and I love everybody that's on it. But the crickets moment with Savannah of her asking everybody, so how do you guys think I did? Oh my god, I won. Like, okay, this is what I need to know. Was it actually that quiet? when she asked the question? Or two, are the producers that evil that they edited it that way to where it seemed quiet? I just thought that was a crazy moment.
Yeah, I think anytime they add crickets, it's production's having a little bit of fun. But I do think that there was a level of most of the cast knew going into it she would be a winner. And as Abby stated when we were chatting about it earlier, the fact that Rizzo's on another tribe, Rizzo's most likely going to tell people too. So it's not something that you really can keep a secret. But also, I wouldn't want to be like, oh, did you get like fifth? And they'd be like, no, actually, I won. Or if I'd be like, did you win? Be like, well, no, I didn't. So I probably wouldn't have answered either. I'm not gonna lie. I would have joined in on the silence.
You also, I forget who says it in the episode, but someone acknowledged the fact that it's like the 249 members have to have been doing something interesting enough or had enough of a storyline that the producers feel like it's reasonable to bring those two specific people back. Because the fact that they pick people from 49, it really isn't that deep. We know now, and they might have even known then, that they were replacements, like last minute fill ins. They still had 18 people or so to choose from. So it's like, why these two people? I think you would assume one of them is a winner. And in Savannah's case, with the other person being Rizzo, you could pretty easily guess that Savannah's the winner between the two of them with how Rizzo is being perceived right now. If she was there with someone different, like a different runner up from a different season, I could see her throwing it against him and being like, no, he's the winner and he's lying to you. Because then it's a he said, she said. With this, though, it really doesn't work like that.
That would have been such an interesting dynamic if that did happen. Another hypothetical question for you guys. I'm going back again, keeping up with the moving through this episode. Um, so as we see Ozzy and Q having to go to Exile Island, at the end they have a choice, and I like how they've done this twice already, where it's like you think that's kind of it. There's just a punishment, and then they're like, actually, here's something at the end, and they had to pick that one of them had to lose their vote but will get the supplies, and then the other person will get that person's extra vote but not take the supplies. And Ozzy is really quick to saying, I've been tribe strong for 4 seasons and it's not worked out. I'm thinking about me. And Q was the exact opposite in saying, I am happy to look like the hero who won the supplies. I'm sure I'll find people that could vote with me. What would you guys have done in that situation? What do you think is more important, extra vote or supplies? Slash losing a vote.
Well, I think what worked out well for them is that the thing that they needed was the other thing that the other didn't need. So I think it just depends on my situation. But I think I'm just glad that it worked out well for everybody. Because usually in those situations, as a viewer, you're like, oh, like I want to see what they would do. Like Q, yes, is kind of in a predicament now because later on we find out that another person from their tribe loses a vote. But I think it's kind of cool how Ozzy's really trying to play like Oscar and trying to not show up as much as the provider and whatnot. So I guess it kind of just depends. Abby, I don't know what you think.
I feel quite passionately that I would want supplies because one, being given nothing is like immediately the worst thing in Abby Tarpey world. But two, if you're coming back with an extra vote and your plan is to not announce that you've been given an extra vote, people are going to assume you were given something. Versus if you're coming back with supplies, people are going to be able, like, you are announcing what you got and it's beneficial for all. So it kind of goes back to the old debate that they would do of like, do you get rice for everyone or do you get like a benefit for yourself? I forget exactly what the dilemma was, but it was something in that range. And this early, it's literally episode one. I think voting for everybody would be the generally most beneficial ones. While I can understand Ozzy's perspective of what he's saying right now, of like he's trying to change it up, which good for him. He obviously needs to change something to make it to the end and win. I don't know if this is the time and place to be changing that.
Yeah,
Very
I think
eye-opening.
I completely agree with you. I also think that in a situation now, I think it's a little different with tribes of six, because in a tribe of six and you're not voting, then that automatically kind of screws things up, and you need a majority vote. But with eight people in a tribe, and Q is a charismatic person, and as you saw, like he lost his vote, he went straight to camp, and everyone's like, let's work together." And he instantly talks with Kyle, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't have my vote," but Kyle's like, "It's okay, we got this. We'll go." Um, I do want to talk about Kyle, our sadly second person who has been removed from this season from a medical injury. Oh, he tore his. It just seems so painful, and I can't imagine the pain he was in trying to play it off like he's okay.
Yeah, I know. It was
Ugh.
bad. I just want to know if he actually knew like what happened. Or if he was actually he's really just that tough guy who's like, "No, I want to be here and I need to play it off as if I'm fine." And then,
I don't think you tear your Achilles heel and not be in an immense pain, so I'm sure there was definitely a level, especially because you saw like he ran up that he ran up that wall and was in so much pain that he literally could not walk. He couldn't run, he couldn't walk. He was totally done. They had to lift him up to finish the challenge. Um I don't know, Emily, if you saw this, but the really sad part is that Kyle had made it up the wall already, and Colby was helping everybody get up from the bottom, and
you're
Colby
lying.
couldn't get up himself. So Kyle went down, got Colby up, and then went up the wall.
No. No. That's terrible. I did not see that. Damn. Colby must feel real bad about himself right about now. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
I mean, but let's talk about Kyle's gameplay because yes, it was a short 4 days, but he was playing the game. He said, "I'm a winner. I'm going to be a threat anyway. Let me play hard." And we saw him form all of the alliances. He quickly formed a alliance with Genevieve. He quickly worked with Q. And then he also got Stephanie and Colby to want to work with him. And so he was protected all those were the ones we saw in the show, but apparently he also had a relationship with Rizzo where they were working together, and he was working with Angelina. So he really was surrounded by all sides, and it sucks that he had to leave because of this, because I would have been so interested to see how his game would blow up in his face, or if he would be able to actually succeed in doing it. But him being the last winner everybody saw before going on to the show, and him not being everyone's immediate target after seeing him demolish, was so impressive to me.
I also liked, weirdly enough, it sucks how many like medical evacs we've come accustomed to over the last couple of seasons. But I really did think it was interesting how the doctor was showing us like this is what a normal Achilles looks like, and this is Abby.
I love Dr. Joe, and he's back.
He's back.
He was the best part of the episode, and I'll take no notes on that.
But yeah, I just thought that was really cool. And even though we couldn't learn from Kyle's gameplay, we learned biology lesson of everything that went on, which was interesting. Also, I know we've been talking about Rizzo a lot, kind of like beating around the bush here. I low key love that everyone on the tribe is having the same reaction about him that we had about him. And I'm like, damn, we were all so mean to this guy without giving him a chance. And like Colby kind of talking crap in his confession, and then later on be like, nah, I love this kid. I want this
All
guy.
of us? All
Abby,
of
Abby was a
us?
day one Rizzo fan.
What are you saying about me, Emily?
You were a little sus of him, that's for sure. You were a little sus. But again, you choose people based on entertainment, and I think that's like the best strategy. And it
I
worked
think
well for
so.
you last season, so.
And I miss him already. I hope he goes home instantly so that Sabrina regrets taking him from me, honestly.
You hear, Sabrina?
So yeah, we got to talk. We talked a little bit about the Rick, Emily, and Christian alliance that was pretty dominant. But let's talk about a little bit of this Suri and Ozzy relationship, because going in yet again to past seasons, and I really like how they didn't like beat us over the head with all of these relationships, but they sprinkled them throughout. And I like that Ozzy has burned, or sorry, Suri has burned Ozzy twice. And he is still like, you know what? Let's do it. I'm gonna be your loyal number one. Let's go. I'm ready to ride with you once more. See if I can make it farther this time. Uh, what were your guys' thoughts on the pair? Did you expect it, and do you think that Suri will actually be willing to finally work with Ozzy?
Who's to say?
I'm gonna be honest, this is the more unfamiliar part of the Survivor franchise. Or I'm more unfamiliar with this part of the franchise, so I don't know too much. All I'll say though, based on what I know, is that everyone seems to be playing almost opposite of what they were playing before. A lot of people don't have the mindset of if it ain't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's like, no, it was broken, so I'm gonna fix it. So I think it's interesting. I mean, Ozzy, I mean, he said it right off rip with Coach, right? So why wouldn't he do the same thing with Suri? And speaking of that, I kind of like how we're getting these little snippets of not only like strategy and gameplay, which I feel like we've been seeing a lot of in the 40s. It's kind of nice seeing like the cute, fun things that everybody is doing on the island and like showing the friendships that people have made over the years and have kept over the years, which I think is really cool and interesting. And I hope that they keep that up because I know the three of us kind of go back and forth sometimes of like, oh, they had too much fun in this episode. Like, where was the strategy? Or like, there was a lot of strategy and challenges in this. Like, where was the fun? Like, I think it was, even though the premiere was long, which we all anticipated and I feel like wanted, it was nice to have those little fun moments of like making fire out of glasses and Mike White talking about being famous because he came up with this idea from playing Survivor and how he's there just to have fun and like other little things like that. So I don't know if you guys like had a favorite moment like that, but those are just a couple to name a few.
Yeah, I loved it. I agree with you. I think that it is a celebration of the show this season, so they should take the time to have fun and show these bonding and dumb moments. That being said, did I love seeing Charlie put on Coach's toe ring? Absolutely not. I hated it, but I loved it for them that they had their fun. But I agree. I think that it's refreshing to see a season where everybody is on the go instantly. Like they're all strategizing, making alliances, playing, but also really grateful for the chance that they have another time to play. Um, one of my favorite. This is the opposite of fun, so I guess I'm not answering your question at all. But one of my favorite moments of the episode was Genevieve and Aubrey having this like standoffish conversation where they're both like, "Yeah, you know, you're a threat. You're good." And then Aubrey pretty much saying, we know we're not going to work together. We know we already have this unspoken rivalry. So it's like who will get who first. And I just kind of love seeing characters that I wouldn't ever have thought would interact together and seeing who's working well together and who are instantly butting heads.
Mine's already been kind of mentioned, so maybe it's just recency bias. But in the realm of what Jack is saying of characters or people interacting that you don't expect, Rizzo's interaction with cast members as a fan was so funny to watch because it did feel like it's just like one of us on the island recognizing that like a person that like for me I grew up watching is standing in front of me and is significantly older and has a significant more life amount of life experience than I remember them having. But so then on top of that, seeing his journey, particularly with Colby, of how much banter they had that we've mentioned, but also their journey into kind of getting used to how like weird and quirky he can be has been sweet to see.
When I was watching that moment, literally is exactly how I thought Ethan Berman would be. But like, I feel like Ethan would be a little bit more chill, a little bit more relaxed. But oh, but Rizzo, yeah, is exactly how I would have responded because I'm crazy.
So
Um,
we also, before we end, I'd also want to talk a little bit about the quote unquote twist of the season of do the hands of the fans and the voting. I'm curious how you guys reacted to the different votes that were revealed in the premiere. So we saw that for rice, we either give them the rice or make them earn it. 60% of the vote said make them earn it, which I'm curious about. For give them camp supplies or make them earn them, 53% of the votes said to make them earn them yet again, and 80% said yes to idols, and the winner for what type of advantages was a dynamic advantage. So, were you surprised by any of those winning? Do you think that they'll have an impact in the game? What were you happy to find out that those were the winners?
I'm not surprised that those were the ones that were chosen. I think I'm more so surprised with the rice and the I was about to say equipment. Oh my gosh.
Camp supplies, yeah.
Camp supplies, thank you. I don't know why I was thinking of equipment. How close the vote was. Idols, that makes sense. Like the the kind of power that they have, I feel like it kind of just depends on the person. But yeah, Abby, I don't know how you felt about that, but it's just shocking how close the numbers were.
I felt similarly.
So yeah, what we did see with the dynamic power is we yet again had our little shipwreck island where they went on their journey, and we had Mike White, Coach, and Savannah go. And Mike White, I feel kind of bad for because he gets there, goes on the journey, so everyone thinks he's either going to have something or nothing, and then loses a game of rock, paper, scissors, and has to, or I guess not rock, paper, like rocks, and has to go right back to camp. Uh, in that situation, I feel like I wouldn't know what to do because I'd be telling the truth, and there's a chance people wouldn't believe you because you went on a journey. Who's to say you didn't actually compete? You may have some advantage. You may have lost your vote. Not sure what, but it's interesting because Colby and Savannah played, and from Colby's mind, what it was told is you're playing this game. You have both just lost your vote. Winner will get it back. And it was this survivor style Jenga, or I guess reverse Jenga, building, where you're building it up, and whoever knocks it down first will lose. And a little knock on Colby, not because just because of kind of the era he played in, is he just believed it. He's like, yeah, that's what was said, so that has to be the truth. And went back and said, guys, I lost my vote, and Savannah has her vote. But Savannah did get a dynamic power, which was in
Block a vote.
yeah. So she did come with something, and not a single person believes her. I love going back to camp saying, hey guys, this is what I have. And Rick Devens going, yeah, sure. You definitely don't have any advantage. You just won your vote. Sure, sure, sure.
Moving forward, now that we've had this grand entrance of season 50, I would like to talk about things that we are going to keep an eye out for, things that we would like to see, things that we would not like to see. I don't know about you guys, but I'm having such a hard time keeping track of the advantages and keeping track of how many people there are. It is so much fun. Like, I remember everything that's going on and all the people that are on my TV, but like I can't it's like it's a huge web, and trying to grab everything and put everything in its place has been a lot. So I apologize for my crappy memory, but you guys already knew that. Um, and then all the different advantages and how they're kind of they're showing or giving the advantages in kind of a season 40 way, but they're able to get away with it because it's season 50, so it's kind of like whatever. So that's been kind of interesting. Something that I want to see more of, it seems like the tribes are pretty equal, which maybe might be a controversial take, but I think there is going to be a chance of every single tribe going to tribal council before the merge, from what it seems like to me. Because both challenges looked pretty close. Like, there was some kind of close competition, at least between two of the tribes. And they switched up between the two. So those are my overarching thoughts.
I agree. I'm afraid that with Kyle out, that his tribe now may be a little weaker, just because he was one of the bigger, more workhorses, because it was him, Q, and Rizzo was never the best in challenges, and Colby is a little bit older now, so we'll see how they can work together. But I do think that was a huge loss for them. I am looking forward to seeing just more of that, the like quirky conversations. I know that I love the strategy of this game, but with season 50 I've just been loving these interactions. And so I'm okay with random like islands of people talking and having like Savannah tell Colby, yeah, yeah, I was raised on you. Like you're one of my favorites. And all of these different moments. And something I'm weary about how many dynamic powers will come in, because I don't want the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol was okay, but also if we remember from the promo for the season, Rick Devens was the person who said Billie Eilish Boomerang, meaning does every tribe have a Boomerang Idol? And if so, I'm curious how that will happen, and how, if that's the only type of idol, or if there's then another normal idol, and how what's going to happen. I just don't want too many advantages in the game. And if the Boomerang idol is the idol of the season, then I'll be okay with that.
I'm also excited to see how a 90-minute episode is formatted this season, because there are significantly more players, and we're also coming in with significantly more knowledge of the players than we've had with the 90-minute episodes. Because with a 3-hour episode, it still had some like lulls that you would expect from a 3-hour episode, but I would say they filled it pretty evenly and accurately, with the slight caveat of like what is happening on the island, so it felt a little Aussie and Coach heavy for some reason. And Kyle, but Kyle for obvious reasons. So I'm intrigued if they're going to return to the new player format of whatever tribe is currently losing, that typically happens with 3 tribe formats. Are we only going to see that tribe, or are we going to be getting more character interaction for the fun of it rather than for the strategy of it? And are we on that Survivor 40s train of everything serious and strategy and intense, or are we kind of reverting back to kind of some of that old school jovial living on an island, what is it like to have nothing to do entertainment value that I think a lot of us love Survivor for? Something that I'm weary of is whatever Mr. Beast is bringing. Um, because I did not expect to appreciate the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol as much as I did for how stupid it sounds. But I do think a slight caveat of that is because Billie Eilish had nothing to do with it except putting her name on it and getting a paycheck. So I'm intrigued how celebrities who are not quite as favorite of the podcast as Billie Eilish um actually being on the show, because there's Mr. Beast, but there's also someone whose name I continually forget, and I feel very bad I forget him. The country star?
Zach Brown.
Yes. They're both shown to be showing up in person. So how those will differ compared to Billy and Jimmy Fallon. Who's to say?
I love
We're
it.
going to
Yeah.
in a couple weeks.
All right, it's time for everyone's favorite part of the episode, meme of the week.
Woo!
Yeah. All right, I can start. I love this aspect of the season, but it is time for us to talk about Mr. Ozzy. And somebody asked, is Ozzy's mullet a strategic move to downplay his threat level? And somebody then said, that is the nicest possible way to say Ozzy's mullet looks dumb.
That's so mean.
He's also giving heavy Shambo vibes. Do you know
Yeah.
you know Shambo, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the Aussie theme. Ozzy, I have one from Survivor. Ozzy got himself a god tier strategist ride or die, an EV, a gifted Billie Eilish boomerang idol, and successfully steered the vote off of his ROD who just struggled. In the first challenge, this Shambo mullet has powers. This is Oscar, not Ozzy.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, okay. And then mine's not that funny, but it made me think of another post that I saw that wasn't a meme. It was just a really funny comment. But the caption is Suri arriving to 50 and expecting to see legends like Amanda and Rupert, but it's a bunch of random. I don't know what that word is, and I'm afraid to say it because I feel like it could be a bad word. But
He is. Do you know about the Kia Asylum?
I don't think I remember. But I don't know why it looked like a bad word.
It's so the Kia Asylum is just for musicians, but it's kind of for this too of like people who experience like early success or some levels of it, but then just had like a hard fall off. And you're kind of stuck with
Oh,
the asylum, the Kia
got it.
Asylum.
Got it. But I saw two videos, one from Rupert and one from Boston Rob saying why they deliberately chose not to go on season 50. And I'm sure you guys have seen those videos. And I have seen this same comment. Maybe it's from the same person or user. I have no idea. But they have said on both videos, season 50 is great and all, but they need to take every single worst player from all of Survivor and make it season 51 or even go as far to go to season 60. And I'm just like, I want,
I would watch the hell out of that season of like the worst
yeah,
to ever do it.
I need our listeners, but also I would like you guys to think on this, meditate on this, and come back to me with your
Yeah,
answers
and then
because,
how iconic would it be if we get a Francesca win? Her her order is last win, like mind blown.
the worst person I think of when it comes to Survivor, because not only did they play the game terribly, but they're like low key a bad person, is Colton from whatever season that was. So I'm like, even though I hate that guy, bring him back.
Oh yeah,
Bring him
Jeff
back.
Jeff would have to be dead for him to be back on Survivor. He was so upset that he quit twice.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
I want Chatia back. I want some more
yes,
rice to go
I
on the
need
fire.
Jatia.
I forgot about her.
I
What is she
need
up
Jatia.
to?
Because she's honestly one of the best in my opinion. Like I think it needs to be the worst players who are actually the best. And
Oh, for
Francesca's right
sure.
up there.
I love
Ugh,
Francesca.
too funny.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to our premiere episode recap reaction for Survivor 50. And we will be back for our little no episode or therapy carousel, when we say, since that is the episode title.
Ew.
So we will see. But thank you guys all so much for listening, and be sure to follow us on Surviving Survivor podcast because we got some cool guests coming in this season. So stay tuned.